Hello, I am your teacher, Mr. Pacitti, and this is my classroom here in Denver, Colorado. So put away your mobile phones, put away your Polly Pockets. It's time to concentrate, it's time to study. This is SmackDown Live, and this is Graded. Kicking things off with Miz TV, except it's not Miz TV, it's Truth TV. R-Truth and Carmella are in the ring. The crowd are going absolutely mental for the pair, and I'll tell you what, I really enjoyed the character of heel Carmella, but I think she did pretty much everything she could do as a heel in the SmackDown Women's Division, so I'm all for babyface Carmella. Tonight, R-Truth's guest is Daniel Bryan. So Bryan comes to the ring, discusses his match against The Miz at Super Showdown, and then is quickly interrupted by R-Truth and Carmella's 7-second dance-off, which, it's no 5-second pose, but sure. Bryan talks about how cathartic it's going to be to beat The Miz after Miz cheated at SummerSlam, and then is quickly interrupted by the man himself. Miz says that he will do anything, and he means anything, to make his way to the WWE title, and the only way that Daniel Bryan is going to win is if he is able to compromise his own moral code. The only way that Daniel Bryan is going to be able to win is if he cheats. Ooh. I like this, introducing the idea that Daniel Bryan may have to bend the rules to beat The Miz. I don't think he will, but in Australia, I think he'll likely get the chance to do so, but be too bloody nice, and that'll probably cost him the match. The Miz will then go on to feud with AJ Styles, and then maybe, just maybe, this will all lead up to Daniel Bryan versus The Miz at WrestleMania for the WWE title. Dance off! I'm not actually going to dance. The Miz then runs backstage, bumps into General Manager Paige, who sets up The Miz versus R-Truth for right now. Gonna give this one a B+, an enjoyable opening segment which effectively put the focus on Daniel Bryan versus The Miz while giving R-Truth a nice bit of screen time. Fair play to R-Truth, who is about 85 years old, still has amazing comic timing, cuts a great promo. Enjoyed this a lot. Onto the match, not too much to say about the match itself. R-Truth can still absolutely go, not just on promos, but in the ring also, we know that. But for me, this was all about Daniel Bryan on commentary. Throughout the match, Daniel Bryan was giving wrestling advice to The Miz, and that is the basis of this feud. It should never have been about who is the better husband, who is the better father. This is about two guys who have completely polar opposite ideas of what professional wrestling is, and both men think that they're right, and both men want to prove that their idea of what pro wrestling is right. As I say, two guys who view wrestling very, very differently. The Miz, safe, reliable. Daniel Bryan, passionate, maybe sometimes goes a little bit too far. The Miz accuses him of being dangerous, and that is what that Talking Smack promo, that's what made it so brilliant. And so it's good to see throwbacks to that in this story. So The Miz wins the match utilizing Daniel Bryan's finishing move, the running knee, and I wasn't going to give this much more than a C because the match itself wasn't all that, but I think Daniel Bryan on commentary was really good, so I'm going to up that to a B-. I like the new dynamic that's been added here, not knowing if Daniel Bryan will compromise his morals and maybe, just maybe, cheat to win, and I especially enjoyed Daniel Bryan giving The Miz advice on his kicks. You might want to have a word with your wife, Daniel. Backstage now, and we see SmackDown Women's Champion Becky Lynch attacking Charlotte Flair during a photo shoot. I wasn't going to bother grading this one at all, but not only does Becky look like a total badass, but my favourite thing about this video is the photographer, who doesn't seem to give a toss. He just keeps taking pictures while Becky is laying in the punches. Always focused on the content. I like that man's style. Back to the ring, and it's time for Sheamus versus Big E for the first time ever on SmackDown. Oh yeah. A funny little promo from the New Day before the match with the hashtag Say Something Nice challenge, and the New Day were really good here. The highlight was absolutely the New Day calling out Cesaro's weird nipples, his enlarged areola. I'm not going to talk about that anymore. I was going to give this one a B-, but I think you'll stop watching if I just keep giving B's. So this one gets a C+. Sheamus picks up the win with the bro kick. This obviously follows on from Cesaro's win last week, keeps their momentum going, keeps them looking strong in the build up to their tag team title match at Super Show-Down. Sensible booking, sensible SmackDown. Next up is Rusev, who is here to address Aiden English's betrayal last week on SmackDown. He wastes no time in calling out Aiden English. Aiden English comes out with a Happy Aiden Day t-shirt on. Nice little touch. Aiden says that it was always him that saw potential in Rusev, and that's why Rusev is one of the most beloved superstars in the WWE. I think this is really, really clever. They throw to a video package which largely highlights Aiden and his singing and his introductions and all that sort of stuff. I think this is great because obviously the reason that Rusev was always so over and continues to be so over is because of Rusev's tremendous charisma. So Aiden claiming responsibility for that is going to generate genuine heat for Aiden. He then goes on to blame Lana for the team's demise, saying that it was always better when it was just Rusev and Aiden English. And then Lana says that, hey, Aiden, you're nothing more than a glorified cheerleader. Aiden responds saying, if you're going to be so honest, why don't you tell Rusev about that one night in Milwaukee? Mic drop. She didn't. It's no secret that I enjoy the more soap opera aspects of professional wrestling, and I thought this was brilliantly delivered on all parts and made a feud that I wasn't especially invested in absolutely worth watching. Gonna give this one an A-. I thought English was especially strong here, and although he's probably not going to come out on top at the end of this feud, if nothing else, I hope this does put some more eyes on English, who is so often overlooked as a valuable member of the roster. Also, afterwards, we got a bonus backstage promo with Becky Lynch, who says that she runs the women's division, and yes, she absolutely does. To the ring with the Iconics, who are about to be all cringy and awful, but are immediately cut off by Naomi and Asuka, who are now friends. For some reason, the friendship's fine, but I just don't really want to see them teaming together. They, of course, will face the Iconics at Australia's Super Show-Down, because why not? I guess the Iconics are Australian. That's it. We get a WWE.com promo with Naomi and Asuka, where Asuka compliments Naomi's hair, saying it has nice bundles. This is a woman who had a 2.5-year undefeated streak, who asked Minoru Suzuki to legitimately beat her up to prove how tough she was. And I've tried to be positive after WrestleMania 34 and the end of the streak, but I really, really hate seeing Asuka in this position. This is the one match on SmackDown that really didn't mean anything, which says a lot about the quality of SmackDown. It is largely good, but it does bother me to keep seeing Asuka in these stupidly short matches. This went about 4 minutes, and obviously the right result, Naomi and Asuka picking up the win in convincing fashion as well, but I don't know, I just want to see better things for Asuka. This is a disaster. Giving this one a generous C. It would have been a D, but that finishing move by Asuka and Naomi, the double kick, that is a thing of beauty. Next up, Tye Dillinger versus Shinsuke Nakamura in a fun but short match. That frog splash by Tye was really nice, but this quickly ends due to interference from the Viper. Randy Orton comes in and absolutely brutalizes Tye, takes him outside, drags him around the announce table, you know the score, and then hits the vintage Orton, that DDT, onto the mat outside. And then, to add insult to injury, Shinsuke Nakamura, just because he's a right bell end, hits the Kinshasa, and Tye's head just flew into that LED panel on the side of the ring. It looked brutal. Enjoyed the match and the beatdown itself. I'm going to give this one a B. And then after, Randy Orton is asked, why did you beat up Tye Dillinger? Is he your next victim? And he just goes, no, that perfect 10 crap just pisses me off. Next, we get Becky Lynch versus Lana in a match that was set up earlier tonight, and I would have preferred to see Becky Lynch versus someone else on the women's roster, because this didn't do too much to further the storyline in which Lana is involved with, although fair play to Becky for trying to incorporate it, saying at one point she was shouting at Lana going, I'm gonna send you back to Milwaukee. I can't do the accent. Can't really give this match anything more than a C+, there just wasn't that much to it. The match ends after Becky Lynch hits the Bexploder and then locks in the Disarmer, and at least that's the way that a Becky Lynch-Lana match should end. Main event time, and it's a contract signing. I bloody love a contract signing, and I'm really glad to see it in this position on the show, main eventing SmackDown, because we've seen the WWE title picture sort of haphazardly slotted in midway through the night, and that doesn't, it's not the biggest deal, but by putting something at the end of the night, it does feel like the most important thing, and this did not disappoint. AJ comes to the ring, but Joe is nowhere to be seen. AJ's standing there and he's waiting for Joe, and he says of course he's not coming out. In fact, he's more likely to attack me from behind, but that doesn't happen. Instead, on the Tron appears Samoa Joe. Oh, AJ. Joe reveals that he is, in fact, at the Styles household with the mailbox outside that says Styles on it, because that's definitely what it would say. And Joe was great here, really sinister, and he's got a gift for AJ's daughter, this creepy little doll, because of course he does. And he says, AJ, are you angry? Is that rage turning to fear? Are you going to be paralyzed by that fear? That is how you're going to feel after I beat you in Australia. And I really like that specific line, because he didn't say, that's how you're going to feel after I beat you at Super Showdown in Australia. He just said, I'm going to beat you in Australia. These things don't need that constant reminders of branding all the time. This felt more genuine because of Joe's delivery and the scripting here. The show ends after Joe rings the doorbell, Daddy's home, and then cut to black. Just this immediate cut to black. The ending of the show was brilliant. This gets an A from me for sure. For weeks we've been seeing this feud build, become more and more personal. We thought we were going to see Samoa Joe at the Styles household a few weeks ago. We've finally seen it now, and what happened after he rang the doorbell? As I say, great writing, great delivery, especially from Samoa Joe. They managed to keep the momentum going. I can't wait to see where they go with this. Overall, this week's SmackDown gets a B+. Almost every segment, we either saw some decent character progression or storyline progression. SmackDown is just continues to be a very pleasant show to watch indeed. Anyway, I've been off for a few weeks, so let's finish with a joke. Why did the Ultimate Warrior get fired from the pet store? Because he refused to sell pedigree. Awful. So that's all from me. Thanks for watching, and you can follow me on Twitter here. If you enjoy what we do here at Cultaholic, you can pledge to our Patreon. That's patreon.com/Cultaholic. And most importantly, don't forget to hit subscribe and join us.